with more eyes being on Sundowns, right? There is a talent who's loaned out from Sundowns to Wydad Athletic, and had a very good display against Manchester City, but didn't get it on score sheet. They lost that game, and effectively, you could even say Wydad is out at this point in time. He finally gets onto the score sheet against Juventus, and that is Thembinkosi Lorch. Jay, are we? One, how did he not cut it at Sundowns? Why was he not playing this brand of football? And number two, are people really now only coming to realize how good Thembinkosi Lorch is?
Nah, Chuck, I think to start with the second question, people have always known how good Lorch is. Maybe we have forgotten because we haven't seen Lorch at his absolute best in a while. And you asked the question, what happened at Sundowns? Upori na Slay Queen. That is what happened at Sundowns. Like, distractions, Chuck. Distractions, off the field. One, injuries, right? Like, he was very often injured. And I wondered to myself if those injuries were caused by his lifestyle. But he was often injured, and we didn't see him on the field. Not just at Sundowns, like, prior to him coming to Sundowns. At Orlando Pirates as well in the latter times. And then the celebrity of being with Lorch. Lorch has a song, like, in his name, you know? And he became that superstar, South African football superstar that transcends the game and enters into the domains of celebrity, and that fame can be a hard drug, you know. And I think all those distractions are things that took away from his time on the field and his performances, and therefore also in our memory banks we had forgotten how good Lorch is. I going back, we've been doing this podcast for a long time. In the season that Lorch did win the player of the year, I remember seeing him early, and I say to you that he's my candidate for the player of the year, you know. And I think even with Themba Zwane doing the things that he was doing at that point, that at his best in a particular season, I felt that Thembinkosi Lorch was the best player in the country, right? And then in the times where he was not seen on the field very much for Pirates, but then would come back for a stint now and again. Every time he played for Pirates, every time he came back, he was their best right wing, their best left wing, their best number 10, their best false 9. And the guy is uber talented. The guy is really, really good. And you see him now at Wydad, you know, like you just look at like Lorch's movement, like on the field. Lorch moves like a star, Chuck.
Yeah.
Lorch is star. Like Nyanshiti, the way he receives Ipola, the way Nyanshiti, he runs with it, the way that he feels this confidence within himself that I'm gonna take a shot from the middle of the park, like Nyanshiti thinking and the rest of us and asking the question back, what do you want me to do? Because Nyanshiti, I'm the guy, you know. And when he's fit and when he's focused, he's that dude. He's that dude.
Yeah, man. Unfazed by whether it's Juve, whether it's City, he's gonna play his ball, and his ball is of a very, very high level. I kept thinking to myself when I was watching that game, this is what Lani was saying all the time in those training videos. This is the Nyoso I know, and this is what he wanted to bring to Mamelodi Sundowns. Unfortunately, like you said, injuries aside and all these other things, he just couldn't put it together when he got that game time. But when you look at him at this particular level, yeah, I'll tell you this, right? As a Pirates fan, and maybe this is just me, right? I did appreciate Thembinkosi Lorch, but in all of that, right? Before the song, before all these things, there was this thing about Pirate stars. She's about when it matters. He'll convert 1 out of 3 chances, 1 out of 4. And you're like, he could be doing so much better. He could be doing this and that, this and that. And he does put his game together, right? And then there's the off the field stuff to a point where you're like, we don't need Lorch anymore. And so he hasn't necessarily received his flowers all the time because there's always been something with Lorch, like you said as well. Tupori, it's the girls, it's the fame. And at Wydad, or at least in this club setting, in the country that he's playing in, it's just football. And when you can focus on just football, what a talent. What a good player that we have in front of us. And so, man, it's a great reintroduction to us who've forgotten. Because, yeah, man, to be honest with you, I listen quickly because of late, it was him getting game time after game time from Murulani and not really producing the goods. And you're like, is this the Thembinkosi Lorch? And then him struggling and then eventually getting loaned out. This is what we see here. This is good football. What we see here is this is what you talk about. You like South Africans play good football because that's the idea we have as fans. We still, I think we still do believe this. We're Brazilians light because we've got the samba, we just don't have the goals. We don't have the wins to back it up. But we've got Polanyana. So on the world stage, for him to be in a foreign team and to be a South African talent that does that, that's dope.
Yeah, it feels as though he's just focused on the game because as well we know the nature of the country that he plays in, the amenities that he enjoys here at home azikho lapayana, you know, and
there's no conquer there.
Maybe players like Sipombulu could benefit from leaving the comforts of home and going to indawo la bazokutshela ukuthi no, we don't do that here.